Howdy Clods, probably heard me offhandedly mention Pico 8 a number of times, other YouTubers as well, but it's not often that we talk about the handheld for more than like a hand wave or like a single video. Like, here's the RG35XX. It plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, PS1, N64, Dreamcast, and Pico 8 natively, I guess, if you want to do that, but it plays N64, isn't that sick? If you're like me, you're poor. Sorry about that, I hope you get well soon, but because you're poor, you try to squeeze out and use every feature in your retro handhelds. If there is a single video game system your handheld can play and you haven't tried it yet, you're probably going to try it. So what is this Pico 8? How do I play it? How do I get games for it? What should I play it on? What are the best ones? Don't worry, I cover all of your questions and more, though I won't be showing you how to develop for the Pico 8. I'm not a game dev, but I've linked a tutorial series in the description that you can use to get started on that. Remember, if you like this video and want to share it with someone, you can link this video to them or just say, hey, check out that one Pico 8 video. That should be plenty easy to remember. What is Pico 8? Pico 8 is a fantasy console and game development kit that serves as a standard for producing games for it. Every video game system has limitations on how big games can be, how many colors can be on the screen, the image quality, music quality, and all of that. But developing a game for these older systems can be hard, as it often involves learning a new coding language or involves a bunch of rules and tools that can be hard to work with modern day technology. Pico 8 is a fake console with fake rules that uses modern programming and built-in tools to let you code a game. Since it's a fantasy system, there isn't an existing console or agreed upon hardware system, just artificial rules for it to function. Think of it like tag. You use your hands to tag players and then they're it. You incorporate a ball and it's not tag anymore, it's run. Run. Pico 8 is fake rules that define the system. Some devs create games for it as a challenge, some create very seriously for it. Celeste Classic, for example, is a Pico 8 game. You've probably seen that referenced a million times. There are also demakes of your favorite games, and this results in a massive library of free and paid games that could keep you busy through even the longest of toilet duels. Pico 8 has everything you need to make games as well as play them. Games can be made using the built-in coder, encoded using Lua, sprites drawn in the Sprite Maker, maps made in the Map Maker, and music, you guessed it, in the Music Maker. Then you can test it all on the spot. Game cards are text or special PNG files, and there is a search and player engine called Explore that lets you find the games and play them all within like a search engine thing. You can also buy Pico 8 games and load them into Pico 8. Since the game files are so small, it makes it easy for a dev to host their game sales anywhere they'd want to, like on an itch page, self-hosted, or even a playable browser version like on Lexalawful's Pico 8 site. What are Pico 8's limits? Being that Pico 8 is a console, it has to have limitations. The rules developers have to play by for the games to function correctly. As you might have guessed, based on the name, Pico 8 is a 16-bit system that emulates an 8-bit system. It sounds silly, but this results in 8-bit games that are a little bit more capable than your standard 8-bit console. Pico 8 has a 16-color display, 4-channel audio, a 128 by 128 pixel display, cards are 32 kilobytes, coded with Lua, and a 64 kilobyte memory for graphics and sound. Even more interesting, there's a character limit of 8,196 for the code. These might seem like some very harsh limitations, but for many game devs, that makes making games more fun. In modern times, the options are endless, and a person can make just about anything they'd like. But with restrictions, it forces the dev to get creative and do things a little bit different. That said, these limitations make it difficult to make certain kinds of games. For example, RPGs are known for being pretty large, so any RPG made for Pico 8 would have to be made with short bursts in mind. Strategy games can be rough too, but you're able to get plenty creative and make other genres, like I've seen roguelikes, shmups, tons of platformers, I've seen RPGs and strategy games regardless of that, just all sorts of stuff. These limits also have other benefits like preventing scope creep. That small character limit easily prevents you from working on one thing for a little too long. It can also help you practice building more efficient code. I've seen some crazy stuff done with Pico 8 though, like simulated 3D, so it doesn't really restrict you that much. Why would someone develop for Pico 8? The challenge, as I mentioned, but there are benefits. Due to the small file size, it makes sharing and distribution lightning quick. You could easily share games over Discord for testing, easy hosting, and if you're new to game dev, starting with several smaller projects will help you learn. I'm not a dev, but I have experience with making videos. When I got started making videos, I didn't jump in and try to learn everything at once. I'd make one video with basic split editing, then the next video I'd incorporate a new element. In order to make something, you need to learn all the steps, and game design has has a lot of steps like coding, music, sprite making, and game design. Making a bunch of little games in a bunch of genres is like learning different painting techniques. You can make one project, but it's better to do several little projects to learn a wide variety of skills that you need before making that masterpiece that you've always dreamed of. You can also use Pico 8 to draft larger ideas. The core gameplay loop is very important to player enjoyment. Think of your game as a cake. If your cake, the gameplay, tastes bad without icing, the good graphics, then the icing won't do much to fix that. Pico 8 can be used to draft the gameplay without all the fancy unlimited color palettes, 3D, and graphics. If you can make it taste good without all that fancy graphic stuff, then the icing is just going to make it all that much better. Pico 8 also makes for a great game jam tool by again ensuring that the game stays small. But if you don't like that 32 kilobyte limit, there are ways around it too, like multi-cart games. Lastly, if you play a Pico 8 game and you're curious how it's made, you can inspect the code, sprites, maps, and music, all from within the game. This is super useful for learners as you can see how your code compares as well as learn from others to achieve new things. This means you can go on itch and find some tutorial files, like if you want a certain kind of movement, like something like drifting through space for a space game. You can find a movement tutorial called Movement with Inertia Demo and load it up and then inspect the code to replicate it. How do I play Pico 8? There are several ways to play Pico 8. Emulation through retro handhelds like Android handhelds and Ambernic devices, browser on the Pico 8 site or through itch.io, natively through Linux-based handhelds like Ambernic's H700 series of devices, the XX ones, and Windows, Mac, Raspberry Pi, and Linux by buying and downloading the app. Emulation will require you to get the game files and then play them via an emulator such as RetroArch or your handheld of choice, which probably just uses RetroArch for this too. For the browser version, just go to lexthelawful.com/pico-8.php and you can try out the featured games there. To play natively on Linux-based handhelds, you need to buy and download Pico 8 for Raspberry Pi. Don't worry, buying one version gets you all of them, and it's a perpetual license, so you only pay it once and you can use it forever. Then you put it on your handheld, and I'll go over how to do that soon. Then you can play it through Windows, Mac, and Linux through the Pico 8 app, which is also playing it natively. What is Pico 8 emulation and native? Native basically means that you're running the original version of that program on the original system it was made for. Emulation is using a virtual machine to simulate the environment and hardware using software, and mimics a real console using software. So an Xbox Original plays Xbox Original games natively, but playing them on the Game Pass is emulating them. There are benefits and drawbacks to both. Software emulation, for example, has latency issues and requires much more powerful hardware than the original. This means games like rhythm games where timing is very important can suffer due to off timing with the inputs. Add a wireless controller on top of that and the latency gets even bigger. But software emulation is often the only way we can play old systems because of price. Look at me talking like the Pico 8 is an actual physical console. Even though Pico 8 isn't physical, software emulation can still run worse than the original, even though it's supported on a wider range of devices. Native for Pico 8 is running it through the Pico 8 app or the Splorer app. This means you need to buy Pico 8, and you should pay for Pico 8 because it's cheap and super accessible. Downloading ROMs of old consoles is fine with me because companies don't make those games available for purchase anymore, or their remasters barely function, and emulation is often the only way to play them. Pico 8 is active, in development, and you don't need to pirate it because it's only $15 and can be easily found on their website. I've linked it in the description, and here's a short link on screen that you can use to easily type it into your browser to get to the buying page. bit.ly/getpico8, all one word, lowercase, and here's a QR code. I could not have made it easier for you to get to the site. If you pirate Pico 8, I will sneak into your house and lick the rim of all your soda cans. If you aren't sure whether you'll use it much, then check out the same site that I linked and try some of the games there. It's only $15 though, and you definitely spent more on much worse. How do I play Pico 8 on PC? Go to the site, buy Pico 8, and download the right one for your specific system. So this part is easy. All we do is we go to the page after we bought the game, and then we click the version we need. Since we're doing this for PC and I'm on Windows, I click Installer, and then I save it. Then you run the installer. At first, it's going to give you a warning from Windows saying that it's dangerous, don't open it. Just click more info and then click run anyway. It's not a virus. And then when this pops up, click next, I agree, and then the location where you want it installed, and then install it. I've already installed it, so I am not going to reinstall it. Then you just open Pico 8. It launches you right into this boot menu. I know it looks intimidating. It looks like if Fisher Price made command prompt, but it is super simple. We need very few functions, and it's not going to affect your system at all. This is exclusively just for Pico 8. So if we want to get to Splorer and check out the games, we just type Splorer, and it launches it. And then it puts us into Explorer, and oh, looky there, it actually put me back right on the favorites menu where all my stuff is. And then we want to go back, we close it down again, we click start, and then we click Pico 8, brings us up in here. If you want to run a game, I really recommend you just drag and drop the game image file to here and then type in run. It is much faster than the other option. The other option is to type in folder, and it shows us this folder where Pico 8 files are stored. You would drag and drop the file that you want to run into here. And then if you want to run the game, you gotta type in load space, the name of the game. Let's make sure I spelled it how it's actually spelled. Yep. And then press enter. It loads the file. Then you type run and it runs it. Then double click escape and you can inspect the code. Super easy stuff. To launch a game, press X on your keyboard or enter to access game options for the game. On the options, you can run the cart, favorite it so it's easier to find, see the extended options and additional details like the dev, and find similar games. To exit, you close the window or go to options, then shut down Pico 8. In Explorer, there are multiple categories. Favorite for your favorited games, new for recently added, featured for, you guessed it, featured, works in progress for unfinished and potentially upcoming titles, jam for recent game jam participants, lucky draw for random, and search for searching by specific names. Anyway, when you use Explorer, you'll need the internet to download games and browse them. But once you favorite them, they should download automatically and be accessible offline. What handheld should I play Pico 8 on? This is going to be a long one. I have some opinions. Since the Pico 8 doesn't actually exist, there isn't a true 100% authentic style handheld to play on. The only thing we have to go by is that it uses two buttons, which are labeled O and X, directional buttons, start or enter, select for back, and it has a 1:1 screen ratio. The perfect Pico 8 handheld doesn't quite exist yet. Most systems will have extra unused buttons or sticks, but any Linux-based handheld can play Pico 8 just fine. In my opinion, you're probably not just playing Pico 8 on these. Instead, focus on getting a handheld that will play the majority of the systems that you want that just so happens to play Pico 8 as well. Pico 8 has always just been a nice bonus, but if you really truly want a dedicated Pico 8 device, then you need to shoot for a device with a 1:1 aspect ratio. I use the RG Cube XX for this. I consider it to be the closest to a perfect Pico 8 machine, and many others do too. I'm telling you now too. Just get the RG Cube XX. It's affordable, and your other options are mostly not great. For 60 bucks, it's simultaneously, oh my god, I very wrongly spelled simultaneously in my script. Simultaneously, very affordable, and very boutique for the Pico 8. It's a 720p screen, 1:1 display, Linux handheld, so it runs Pico 8 natively and with perfect screen scaling. This means no black bars, no squishing, no stretching. If you play this on any other device that is wider or taller than 1:1, you're going to get black bars. The Cube XX for me is perfect because of the D-pad at the top, the disc D-pad, and the good-sized buttons. It has awesome ergonomics as well. The screen is huge for 1:1 games, making it great for GBC, GB, SNES, and NES. It has HDMI out and Bluetooth, so you can turn it into a console if you prefer. If you get any other handheld, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. If you buy the Cube, make 100% sure that it is the Cube XX and not just Cube. The regular one runs on Android and is pricey for just Pico 8. If you don't like the Cube XX, you can get the RGB30 or RGB20SX from Powkitty. The RGB30 is more portable since it's just a slab, but both the Cube XX and the RGB30 devices have Wi-Fi. They're not perfect, but until someone makes the perfect Pico 8 handheld, this is the best you're getting. If you don't care whether it's a 1:1 aspect ratio or not, then literally any other Linux-based handheld is perfectly fine. Just pick the one whose shape you like the best and make sure it has Wi-Fi. You do need Wi-Fi to take full advantage of Pico 8 natively. Some popular choices are the RG34XX SP for the GBA SP Lite clamshell, RG35XX Plus, make sure it's the Plus for the Wi-Fi, and the 34XX regular for the GBA style. Keep in mind, do not buy a 16:9 screen device. This will make the Pico 8 game extra small. 4:3 is the best balance if you're not going for 1:1 exclusively. Now, if someone did make a dedicated Pico 8 handheld, like it was built for it and only it, then it could be pretty cheap. Pico 8 is incredibly light and can run on even the cheapest of Raspberry Pis, so cheap doesn't have to be bad. It also wouldn't need most features that are found on modern handhelds. Really just Wi-Fi, D-pad, two face buttons, home, select and start, and a way for you to set up Wi-Fi and a home menu and stuff like that. If you can make a retro handheld for 30 bucks like the RG28XX, I think a Pico 8 device could get that or lower. Question is, would it be vertical, horizontal, or would it be a filthy nasty with a clamshell? I don't know. I personally like the sound of a horizontal one, but I just prefer horizontal. Vertical would be better for one-handed play though. Clamshell for ultimate portability. How do I play Pico 8 on my handheld natively? If you got a recommended system like the RG Cube XX, then you can follow these instructions that I'm about to give you. If you got something else, that is going to require some research on your own end. Different chipsets have different custom firmwares and different ways of doing things. Like the RGB30 uses a different chipset than the RG Cube XX. So while they're both equally good at doing Pico 8, one is going to have different custom firmware than the other, which means different instructions, and each custom firmware is going to have its own instructions too. So this portion of the video is dedicated to specifically Ambernic handhelds, as I have mostly these. So for Ambernic Linux-based handhelds, that's going to be any of the devices with XX in its name. As for custom firmware, I'll show you how to do it with Nully, as that's what I'm currently using. And I'll link you to MooOS documentation in the description. I don't have infinite SD cards to show you every method. Also, this will set up Splorer for you as well, which will let you browse games online and download them. Pico 8 for Nully. Nully happens to have a Pico 8 installer built in, but even without it, the process would still be pretty easy. For Nully, we need to buy and download Pico 8 for Raspberry Pi. Don't extract it, as Nully is looking for a .zip file. Pop out the SD card from your handheld. Which SD card? Whichever one has your games on it and that you designated Nully to search for games for. Put that SD card into your PC, then go to ROMs, then Pico 8, and drag and drop the zip file into the folder. Safely eject the card or adapter, then put it back into the device. Power on the device, and once you're loaded, press start. Go to the device settings, then find and install Pico 8. If you don't see this option, then either it's on the wrong SD card or you unzipped the file when I told you not to, or you did something silly like changing the name. Once you launch it, Nully will unpack and install Pico 8 and Splorer. If it doesn't restart the handheld automatically, then do it yourself and Pico 8 should appear on your system selection. If your device has Wi-Fi, you're done. You can find and play all your games from Splorer. If you don't have Wi-Fi on the system, then you'll need to find Pico 8 games and put them on the ROMs folder manually. If you have a device without Wi-Fi, get one of these. It'll save you some headache. It's a USB-C to USB-A adapter and a Wi-Fi adapter. Plug these in and your device will have Wi-Fi. Search up all your games, favorite them, then they should be playable offline. For stock. Stock is a little involved. I've included in the description a link to a video showing you how to set it up for stock OS. It's pretty easy to follow along. It's a good guide. I've used it once before. I don't have any devices that are using stock OS right now, and I don't have spare SD cards to put on a bunch of OSs and CFWs and stuff. So for MooOS, I won't go into super detail as the card that I had MooOS on bricked, so I can't really show you. For any other CFW or handheld, you're going to have to find the instructions for that. Usually you can just search the firmware name plus Pico 8 and it'll be at the top. What should I play? Here's the fun part of the video. Literally anything. The Pico 8 world is your oyster with Splorer. One great way to find new games is to just think of any word you can think of and then search it. If you're not feeling creative or not in the hidden gem finding mood, I'll try to give you a little bit of a variety. Breakout Hero. This is an easy one to recommend as it comes on every Ambernic handheld that I have ever played. It's Brick Break, but with power-ups. The ultimate toilet game. My Chan's Sweet Buns. I know how that title sounds. And yeah, I agree, baking is kind of lame. But don't worry, we don't have to bake, we just fill orders. Order cards are drawn from the deck and we fill the orders by clicking matches on the board. Sounds simple enough, but you can't move the pieces around and swap them. You have to find the matches on the board and get them to match the order in the exact number. You can change whether you match vertically or horizontally, and you can fill the orders on the cards in any order. Should you get stuck, you can spend stars to activate a power-up to help you fill the orders. It's the perfect level of brain teasing, and you get to play with My Sweet Buns. Couldn't be any better. Buns Bunny Survivor. Vampire Survivors and other bullet heavens are all the rage these days. There are even Pico 8 ones now. And Buns Bunny Survivor, you play a bunny girl. Please contain your excitement, she is just pixels. As Bun, you run around and shoot carrots in the direction you're facing and press A to fire. There's also a dash button. You'll defeat animals and take their gems to level, then select a power-up. It's a little challenging as aiming isn't automatic like you might expect from the genre, and you can only aim based on the direction you're facing. This results in a more aggressive than passive playstyle. Pico 19 Night Punkin'. We got rhythm games too. In PNP, you play a pixel demake of Friday Night Funkin'. It plays exactly like you'd expect, and I am just the worst. Wake me up when we have Pico 8 Guitar Hero. Birds with guns. Imagine Hotline Miami, but you're a bird with a gun. You clear the maps by shooting enemies, and it's really cute. It also makes me very happy knowing that birds don't have fingers and can't actually use guns. It's a roguelike of immense proportions, but you know, super teeny tiny. Game and Timer Vermin. If you watch my videos on Game & Watch and love Vermin as much as I do, then good news, it's on Pico 8. It's just like the classic Vermin, but now unglobally fast. If you're playing on PC, you can probably alter the code to change the speed, but I like it being this fast. The worst part of the original GW games is that they always start so slow. Vermin, for those who don't know, involves an exterminator whacking moles. How cruel. Like this video if you cried. 1 like equals 1 unwhacked mole, I guess. I don't know. How do you unwhack a mole? I don't know. Never been whacked. Couldn't be me. But you whack the moles by moving left and right, and the hammers will automatically smack the moles underneath. The difficulty comes from the fact that you can only swing your left and right side, but not the center. Tower of Arceus. One of my favorite games is Puzzle Quest. It combines RPG mechanics with match 3 puzzlers and shows you that all of life's problems can be solved by matching enough gems. That's why gems are expensive. Big Gem doesn't want you to be happy. They know that if you could match gems on the cheap, you wouldn't even need them. Bastards. Anyway, Tower of Arceus is a puzzler where you click groups of enemies to match them. Each match deals damage to you, so you have to pull off big matches to maximize XP and minimize damage. As you level up, you get healed and get to play longer. Like all Pico 8 games, it's super tiny and quick, making it ideal for the tiniest windows of the day. Mole. Can you guess how I found this one? I searched mole. This is a great game though, so you probably know about Sokoban puzzles. You might know it better as the Pokemon strength puzzles. You push blocks to find a way to the exit, but to add to it, your mole can dig through the dirt and find bombs. All moles can do this. I just choose not to. Bombs are heavy. You can then use the bombs to blow up rocks that you can't push and get to the exit. Be careful not to blow up the stairs or you won't be able to escape. Also, don't blow up yourself unless you blow up the stairs. Then it's okay to blow yourself up, so you can start all over. Game and Timer Ball. The person who made Vermin, Aiden, also remade Ball. Just like Vermin, it's a reproduction of the Game & Watch classic and starts out faster. Ball really needs this as it's probably the slowest of them all. If you don't know how Ball works, you move the hands left and right, and you need to get the hands to where the balls are, and it'll automatically throw them back up into the air. The trick is to pay attention to the track that the ball is on because the inner track has less frames, making it faster. Cryomancer. This one is another Sokoban puzzler game where you use ice cubes to put out fires. There are some interesting rules at play though. The Cryomancer can only make pushable cubes if there aren't any adjacent walls. If there are walls, she'll make a wall of ice instead, connecting the adjacent walls. You can delete existing ice walls, or ice walls that you made, no problem though, so you know, no harm, no foul. The challenge comes from finding open space to make the cubes while still having an open path to the flame, and then also choosing which walls to delete on the map. PicoWare. I've been on a huge WarioWare binge lately, and you love WarioWare, right? Because everyone loves WarioWare. You have to love WarioWare. PicoWare is WarioWare in Pico 8. As it says on the startup, it was made by a collaboration of 50 people, and it's really awesome too. There is enough here for it to be a fully fledged WarioWare title. Story mode, endless, quick play. The microgames are demakes of some existing WarioWare microgames, but there are also a lot of unique ones too. This is one of the ones that I had control issues with though, so just keep in mind that B is confirmed and Y is back. Pico Zombie Garden. This is a demake of Plants vs. Zombies 1. You collect sun, plant plants, defeat zombies, and move on to the next stage unlocking more plants. It's a really cute demake and it works with the mouse. If you're on handheld, it'll make your right stick the mouse cursor. To place plants, you click the sun drops to collect enough sun to be able to place a plant, and then you click the plant, then click where on the grass you want to place them. Unfortunately, the game has a big issue, and that's that it can't save its progress. Lots of Pico 8 games have saves. This one does not. Or maybe this one just didn't save for me. Maybe it's at checkpoints. But every time you play, you'll be restarting from the very beginning. Still, it's very cute. Blood of Vladula. Looking for a classic platformer experience? Then look no further than Bov. This is a cute platformer with chunky sprites where you play as Vladula Jr. Vladula also has lore. The butthole Count Bacula has been spreading doctored photos of Vladula Jr. helping old ladies across the street. That monster has to pay. So Vladula Jr. has to get to Bacula and get him to stop spreading these photos. Bad news though. The formerly highly respected Vladula is now the mockery of the town, and monsters he considered friends now stand in his way. It's cute, simple, Pico 8 in a nutshell. You jump on enemies and collect pentagrams, and you can fly across gaps as a bat. Dino Sort. This is a mini puzzle game where you organize dinos based on their likes and dislikes. Then they get annihilated by a meteor. Womp womp. This starts easy with just the simple rule, Stegosaurus avoids other stego, always hungry for cycads. So then you highlight and move the stego to the cycad plant, but not adjacent to another stego. Eventually, you have a lot of dinos and a lot of rules, and that's when it really gets a puzzling. Super Hat Girl. This one is kind of silly. You play a girl, and you get hats, and each has different abilities and uses. The starter hat can be thrown and retrieved like a boomerang, or can be launched into walls and used as a platform. The top hat makes you rocket upwards. The only goal is to defeat all of the enemies and touch the trophy. The stage design gets pretty creative, and you sometimes have to use 2 hats at once to achieve your goals. That's just 15 games. If you have a favorite game, try searching it and seeing if it has demake like Pico Man for Pac-Man, Pico Fox for Star Fox, Delunky for Spelunky, Froggy for Frogger, Poom for Doom. You get the idea. Pico 8 is such a fun system because of how its discovery system works. You'll screw around, put in a random word, and find something cool. You share it with friends and get their faves back. You can search the new or featured, and this temporary presence on these pages creates a sort of blink and you might miss it sort of stardom. That's how you know Pico 8 has nailed this whole thing. They even made looking for games fun. I was mostly trying to name stuff that I haven't seen many people recommend, so go out there and check out some more Pico 8 videos after this one. You'd be surprised by the stuff people have done with this platform that you never heard of. Bonus stuff. Here's a couple extra bonus stuff before you go. I didn't know where else to put it. If you're in a place without Wi-Fi, but you have a smartphone with mobile hotspot, you can use that to download and play Pico 8 games over Explore. You might be worried about using up your data, but Pico 8 games are a max of 32 kilobytes. Even multi-cart games barely use up any data. You use a lot more than that by just scrolling through socials. If you want to find good games easily, look for anything made by Lazy Devs Academy. Everything they make is a banger. To find more games by them, you can pick a game you know is by them, like Sweet Buns, and then on Explore, click Start or Enter, and go down to More Games by Username. Select that, and you'll see all the games that account has published. If you want Toots too, check them out on YouTube, as they make a ton of Toots using their games as an example. And this brings us to the end. If there is anything you're curious about that I didn't cover, please let me know below. I'll respond and probably make a follow-up. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tip your mole. I take likes and subscribes. And I'll see you later. Bye.